Hello. Today we'll talk about the logical framework, which is one of the frameworks that we use in monitoring and evaluation. So before we get started, we'll be building what is known as a log frame or logical framework. Sometimes people call it matrix. So we'll be learning what the structure of the logical framework is. We'll also explain the purpose and identify assumptions in the logic models. We'll also look at the indicators as well as the types of indicators that we have. We'll then be looking at the measurement methods and the context in which they're used, and then compare the different data collection methods. And then finally, we'll use different measurement methods for collecting meal type. So first of all, we have to be able to understand what monitoring the collection cycle is. So we have first phase, which is designing the logic model, planning the monitoring collection. The third one is collecting data. The fourth one is analyzing the meal type. The fifth one is using meal data, which can either be used externally or can be used within the project. So that's the 5 stages that we are using. So you now know that the first phase, which is designing the logical framework. So we'll be exploring the logical framework, which has about 5 aspects or 5 components, which are the objective statements, the assumptions, the indicators, as well as the measurement methods. But then you have to also be able to understand that the logical framework is designed within a process. So the first process is designing what is known as the theory of change. And then the second process is designing the results framework. So this is basically how a logical framework looks like. So we have 4 columns. So logical framework is usually a diagram which actually describes the project components and how they interact with each other within the monitoring and evaluation framework. So we have objective statements, which is the first column, and then we have the indicators. We have the measurement methods as well as the assumptions. Usually the code doesn't have actually indicators, but then if you are imaginative enough, you will actually create an indicator for it. But usually the objectives, intermediate results, the outputs, as well as the activities, they all have indicators. So another thing that you have to take note is the fact that the activities, outputs, intermediate results are more implementation. So they look at actually the implementation side of the project, which is different from the other codes and the other objectives which above, which will basically just look at the overarching themes of the whole project. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what are indicators, what are measurement methods, and what are assumptions? Well, you would ask the question, and I will be answering those questions, I think, little by little, go along. So the first thing you have to look at is the example that we have of the YND project, which is the shared IDP project. So the shared IDP project is focusing on the NAD, and it's focusing on sanitation as well as health effects of the community that we're studying. And the manager, whom we can call by the name Anna, is considering how to get started. So first of all, you have to create a bureau of changes as the first framework. So in this particular case study of ours, Anna has already created these two, and then we're deriving the logical framework from these two. The theory of changes was the first framework. So what do we need to develop a high quality logical framework that can guide the new one? First of all, let's look at the objective statement, which is actually the first column. So logical, the objective statements usually have about 5 components, like we already said. These are the goals, the strategy, objectives, intermediate results, outputs, and activities. So what you have to understand is the objective statements are looking at the information that it will be given from the various stages of the whole project. So we'll be looking at things like the things or the people that will be changing, or the community or the sample that will be changing. Um, the direct beneficiaries of our project, and also be looking at what will be changing, right? So that which changes is it coverage, behavior, knowledge, technologies, models, data, systems, or policies. We'll also be looking at the nature or the direction of change when looking at these objective statements. So is it increasing, decreasing, improving, reducing, adopting, or establishing, using, integrating? So most of the objective statements are actually derivative from it. If you remember, if you are actually you studied it, that's framework as well. So field of change, you realize that you already they actually create some of these things, like the goals, the social objectives, intermediate results. However, for the outputs and activities, that means we'll be looking at them from the logical framework view. So, so in the results framework, most of the objectives, the objective statements were included. However, the activities and probably some of the outputs are not included. But yeah, some of them are, some of them are not. But then usually we are now looking at a holistic approach to looking at the whole project, because the basic components of the whole activity is the activities, and of the whole project is the activities. Because activities are the ones that actually determine whether uh, you actually fulfilling the whole project little by little. So we have what is known as vertical logic, right? So the vertical logic can be described as that at any level of the logical framework, the objective statement at that level must be completed in order to achieve the statement at the above level. For instance, for you to achieve the outputs, or let's say, for instance, any output that you can think of, first of all, you have to be able to achieve an activity. For instance, let's say our output, let's say, is to, or let's say the results is to educate a community on a particular issue, right? Based on the sanitation issues. And then we have a particular activity which will be to have a sanitation campaign in the community, right? For the people to be educated in particular on the sanitation issues, the thing that has to be fulfilled first is the sanitation campaign has to happen. So that's what we mean by the lower levels of the statements have to be achieved for the higher levels to be achieved as well. So that's known as vertical logic. So here's how vertical logic is. So the vertical logic of the log firm maintains that the objective segments at each level of the log firm must be completed in order to achieve the objective segments at the next highest level. So we're looking at the lower levels first, and then we're going at the levels to the levels that are above. So for instance, look at this. The goal of the Y&D project that we're talking about, this is we're looking at internet displaced persons in the region have improved their livelihood, right? So essentially, we have a reduced incidence of waterborne diseases. Right? This is the results from it. And then the IDPs have access to adequate water supply. And the first output is community water boards establish water points in the community. Right? And then we'll have an activity which will probably be to select the water boards, right? So the activity will inform the output, and the output will inform the intermediate result, and which will inform the strategic objective and inform the goal. So that's basically how we're looking at it. So you realize that the objective state, the objective results framework, which is this one, will actually inform the will actually inform how the whole the logic framework actually will come out at the end of the day. So here are the examples of activities. So we have Y&D team develops what about quality report format. The Y&D and what about identified and order points. Y&D sources and distributes order points or materials. And community order points identify train and function. I mean, order points are trained and function and the functioning. Sanitation team develops adoption campaign materials Then the question is, what type of objectives do we have? So we talked about objective statements in the workflow can either be strategic, operational, mix. So I talked about the lower levels having more operational aspect. Well, so this is basically the same thing, right? So the lower levels actually are more operational, while the higher levels are more strategic. So when looking at the strategic aspects, we're looking at questions like, is the project resulting in changes that we projected? So we're looking at the why, the how, and why. I mean, we're looking especially at the why, and we're looking at the percentages and the nuanced aspects of the whole project. That's what we mean by strategy. Are the changes sustainable? Are there changes in behavior? Are there new practices? But when looking at the operational aspect of it, we're just tracking the progress. We say, did we do what we said we would? Did we do this particular activity? Are we delivering the project services that we indicated? So that's what we mean by the objective statements being operational. Okay, for now, that means we've actually covered the introduction of the logical framework and then we'll go through the objective statements. So we're looking at the other aspects as well, the whole logical framework. So if you have time, you can actually answer some of the questions that have to go. Thanks.